Buddy, Andy here again, taking a stroll on the beach. Yes, again, second video I've recorded this morning. Isn't that weird? Wonderful view out to sea actually today, because it's strange weather here recently. Anyway, what I was going to talk about. I suddenly realised the other day, this being Monday, and I think it was Saturday, that I hadn't had a drink, an alcoholic drink, for about 2.5 weeks, I think it worked out as. Yeah, that doesn't sound a great deal, but for me, not that I'm a huge drinker or something, but something struck me, and I realised that one of those sort of changes that I've made in my life, had sort of come home to roost, I suppose, without, these things creep up on me without realising it. As it happens, I had a phone call from a friend, and we went out and had a couple of beers with him and his partner, and we were talking about this, and I was saying, made that point that I hadn't had a drink for 2.5 weeks, and this particular person, he drinks not a huge amount, but he drinks regularly, so but I was saying that how I changed the way I do things, and that I don't go out as much, and I don't do things the way that I used to, and I think about things so much more. Obviously my situation's changed, as you're probably well aware, and that's obviously the reason. I'm thinking about what I spend money on now, and if I do spend money, I tend to think about the benefits that I get from spending that money, and as it happened, the partner of this friend, and to say, well, what you're talking about is value for money, and I thought, yeah, you've summed it up absolutely perfectly, hence the title of this video, and that's what it is. I'm now looking for value for money, because of the way that my situation changed. I'm not in dire financial straits or anything, but when you start thinking about these things, and it also overtakes your life, but the more you think about it, the more you think about it, if you see what I mean, and it keeps going on and on and on, and you start making little changes. I think about just about everything that I spend now, and yes, that could be to the detriment sometimes, but there's an element to the fact that I realise that because I'm not out to work, I'm thinking, should I really be spending that money when my wife's out to work? That's a bit of a guilt thing there, I suppose. Possibly. Not that there's an issue there, but I think about it. And even my wife said, well, no, you should have done that. You should have had that deal. You should have gone and had a coffee, or you should have done this, or you should have done that. But this is the way that I'm thinking now, and I suspect even that a lot of other people are doing exactly the same thing, because of the way that the world is, these days of austerity, and other people losing their jobs and circumstances changing, and I'm seeing it a lot, and I'm sure you are as well, that you start to think about this. But my life is no worse off for doing that. That's the problem. Well, not the problem, that's the thing here that I've noticed, that it doesn't really make any difference to my life particularly. I'm not enjoying myself any less than what I was before. It's not stopping me do things. There are so many things that you can do for free, like this. Here I am, down on the beach, wonderful scenes behind me, to the left, to the right, etc. And this is free. The people that are at work can't do this. Other things, there are so many things that you can do. You can reduce your outgoings, your expenditure in so many ways. You tend to waste so much money. We were talking the other day in the pub and saying about when people go to work. I always used to take sandwiches or something. I used to make them up. I used to do them myself, no problem with that. I used to sort of get my stuff together and take it to work. I didn't mind. I knew what I was getting. I got what I liked. And ultimately it didn't cost me a great deal of money. Not that I was particularly thinking about that at the time, but when you see how much your colleagues spend when they go out and buy their lunch, and then they go out and buy coffees, and they buy this and that, and I remember talking to a particular guy at work who suddenly thought about this, and he realised he was spending about 30 odd pounds every week on food, drink that he didn't need to. Money that he could have saved, or the majority of that he could save, by taking his own food to work, that type of thing, buying it somewhere else instead of paying somebody else to do it. And you'd be amazed when you start thinking about these things and you start looking into it a little bit and say, well, no, I won't have that. And just if you put that money to the side, it's like people who give up smoking. And if you give up smoking, you say, right, all the money that I used to spend on cigarettes, I'll put to one side and I'll put it in a separate bank account or a savings account or something like that. And you suddenly realise how much money you are actually saving there, and it's phenomenal. And the people I was with the other day, they said that they'd done a similar sort of exercise recently, where they worked out how much money they were spending by their socialising and going out and spending on drink and socialising generally. I'm not going to name a figure, but it was more than my mortgage, just put it that way. And that's when it really hits home to you, when you start to think about that. And I've done that myself. You think about people who smoke Now I don't, but you think how much money they must spend every week on cigarettes. Certainly in the UK, I mean I don't know what it's like elsewhere, but there's so much tax on cigarettes, etc. And quite rightly so in my opinion. But that's another issue I suppose. So there you go, that's the way I've looked at what I'm doing, and it's amazing how much you can save. I bought a new car recently, and one of the thoughts behind that was that in the end it would actually save me money. Yes, there's the expenditure of actually buying a new car, but my other car was getting to an age when it was starting to cost money. Yes, it was in pretty good nick, but it was starting to cost money here and there. It was a bigger car than the one I've now got. All those, the insurance, the petrol, the servicing, all those other taxes and all that sort of stuff that you have to have. And you weigh it up and you think you've now got a brand new car, which has got warranties for 3 years and service deals for 2 years and less insurance tax, certainly less in petrol and all that, and less in worry as well. No weird expenditures coming out that you're not expecting. And yes, you know, as I said, I've weighed it up a bit, and I got a good deal on it as well. That's another thing we all know about new cars. When you drive them off the forecourt, and X amount of thousands of pounds have been wiped off the price as soon as you hit the road. I got that money knocked off before I started, so that wasn't too bad. So there you go, value for money. It's never a perfect science, I know that, I realise that. And you do need to treat yourself every so often. You do need to go out and say, right, yeah, let's go out and have a couple of pints, or let's go out and have a meal, or do something. Don't deny yourself completely, but just think a little bit about what you do. I just noticed over there in the distance, I'll come around here, might be able to see behind me, is that a pole sticking up. I don't know if it's in the picture or not. And we've had some storms here recently. I noticed that the top of it has been knocked off. So there you go. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, continue my little walk, my free walk along the beach on this interesting weather day. And it's amazing out there with the clouds. I don't know if you can see that, where the clouds are on the horizon. You can see it raining in certain places. There you go. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for your time. I'll speak to you again soon. Goodbye.